Come on, computer. Everybody, welcome to another episode of ArmTalk, special edition, breaking news. Of course, I cannot do it without my guest right now, Laray Jenkins. Laray, how you doing? I know you just got off work. How you doing, sir?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good.
So you asked a question, and when I responded, it was like 62 comments.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot more after that, okay?
Yep.
So the question is, why do you think so many arm wrestlers are retiring? And what made this question so unique, the post, was because there's no one particular answer.
Yep.
And aside from injuries, I mean, we can bring up names like Brad Grundy, Chris Drummond, Michael Bedwell. I mean, those are just the first ones that kind of come to mind.
Paul Passmore.
Oh, yeah, from just stepping away. And, you know, Grundy was more of a health thing, you know?
Yeah.
But the other guys, I put out there, you know, reasons why I thought, I'm not saying I'm right, but I thought with all the bickering, all the nonsense and politics or whatever, that could play a factor because our sport is cool, it's unique, and when you see it, you want to get into it. And then you get into it, and all of a sudden you see all this other nonsense going on, and it's like they're probably thinking, okay, this is not what I signed up for.
Exactly.
Or, you know, our sport's been taken over by social media, and there's, you know, behind the scenes bullying. There's that. It's like going, what are we doing? So I'm going to have you, you know, take the reins on that. And people in the chat are already in there. USS Liberty, Robert Kelly, the Drew, y'all feel free to chime in. So, Laray, I mean, how many comments did you get on your post?
Ah, man, I don't even know the exact number. I think it's over 80 or something. I'm not sure exactly, but I mean, you kind of nailed it. There's no exact answer, right? It's a little bit of everything. But to me, the reason why I even asked the question is, like, I've seen a lot here recently, right? It seems like it's becoming more and more every day. And, like, of course, you know, you have athletes stepping away every day, but, you know, they don't go and announce it, right? But it's concerning to me when I see these top level athletes like, you know, not worth it, right? And granted, I mean, I know, you know, it costs a lot to travel and, you know, sponsors aren't there. But I mean, they've never been there, right? They've never really been there. So, and maybe, you know, I don't really have an exact answer for you. You know, I really don't. I think it's a little bit of everything. I could give you my opinion. I might get flamed for it. You know, I want to be careful because I want to support everything. I'm all for freedom, right? I think all promotions are good for the sport, but, you know, just today, and again, this is no shade towards anybody, but I get online on the little bit of time I have on at work during a break, and I see a match advertised for 20 grand. I don't know the guys, right? I know a lot of people in arm wrestling. I've been around the sport for a long time. Why do I not know these guys for a $20,000 match? So, you know, you got those type matches, and it's just, to me, don't get freedom twisted with structure. You know, I feel like if our sport had a little bit more structure, it might be more enticing to stay in for some. You know, right now, you know, to get to East West, what do you have to do? Well, you got to go travel to the qualifiers, and then you got to go qualify another time, right? And that's great, you know, but that also eliminates every other body of work, right? And to me, I kind of don't agree with that. You know, if the East to West is the highest level, which it is, that's the highest, you know, that's our NFL, then there needs to be some sort of structure put in place for, you know, all the events, right? I know I'm going off on a tangent. That's not even really.
No, this is free talk, man.
Yeah.
I'll say this. Am I having like, I think Drews, I'm having like my speakerphone's being weird, but I'll say this. With the structure, like you said, and you know, and I'll go a step forward. What East versus West had, and I'm gonna say had because now it's just, to me, it's not as special as it once was.
Right.
And I'm talking about the first year they had the qualifiers, right? And my speaker doing this. Sorry, you guys, my speaker's being weird. When they had the qualifiers, it meant something.
Yep.
Because the top 2 qualify, you go to the finals. The minute they just start letting people in at the finals for $100, fuck that whole thing up.
Yep.
Because now it's like, okay, you know what? I'm just speaking of just on that for now. We can get back into the main topic. When you did that, all the people who went through the finals were like, then why the hell did I have to spend money to go to a qualifier and qualify and compete where I could have just made a beeline to Virginia and just paid my $100? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you know, in all aspects of life, it's about money, right? Let's just be honest about it. It is about money, and I respect that. I'm not saying that they're wrong. You know, you got to fund your events. I completely get that. Mm-hmm. But like, you know, if you're coming into North America, right? You know, we have some very, very reputable promoters. And I'm not even including myself. This isn't about me. You know, I'm fighting for the Tim Talmadges, the Steve Pettises, the, you know, all the top promoters, right? I could list a million. Why don't we use the already established events as qualifiers, right? To me, that would be a great idea because, you know, Michigan State was a qualifier. So, you know, that's great. But, you know, if you have a qualifier down the road and it's to get you to the highest level and you have 50 entries, right? And second and third place is, not to be disrespectful, some amateurs, right?
That ain't the cream of the crop. Let's be real. You know,
it's not. And I feel like there's a better way to do it. But again, you know, I can kind of connect that to what's going on now a little bit. But I just feel like there needs to be more structure. To me, when I look online and I see it's straight chaos. It's chaos. I can't keep up with every promotion. There needs to be some sort of umbrella to hone this stuff in to make this stuff feel like, you know, more of a reputable sport. You know, if we got 1 million leagues in the United States alone, man, what are you chasing, right? I could just go down the road or go to the next state and become champion there, you know. I think that's playing a little bit a part of it. Another thing is, how do I put this?
Take your time, man. Take your time.
The cream of the crop, like you said, they're the ones that get to East-West. As an athlete, I understand striving to be the best. But also, you got to put in your dues. And you also got to be realistic with yourself. You know, if you don't make it to East-West, you're going to quit? No, go put in your dues. Go pull these tournaments. You know, that used to be the way. I remember seeing all the top dogs at every event, every weekend, right?
Right.
That's few and far between now. You know, people don't put in their dues anymore. I can, you know, go find a buddy at work and say, hey, man, you want to arm wrestle? I can set you up a super match this week. We'll put it on YouTube, right? And now you're a big star. I find that as a problem. I really do. And again, I know it grows the sport. It's not horrible, but again, if we're trying to make our sport reputable, you know, these amateur matches for these big money and, you know, social media matches, you know, that's a slap in the face to some people who's really put in the work. You know, we all know a lot, you know, several pullers that we could be like, man, why ain't he getting the opportunities, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just comes down to that, man. You know, there's a million other ways you could go. Money, you know, the economy's horrible. We can all admit that. It's harder to travel. You know, I'd say that's a big part of why people, you know, pull themselves back from the sport. But the structure's not helping, man, in my opinion.
Well, I'll say this, and you know, as far as the organization of the leagues, and you said if some people, not all, will say things like, well, if I can't get the East First West, then I'm going to retire. You know, that's not in the cards for everybody because that's the cream of the crop. Yep. And I'll be the first person to admit on this show, I am not the cream of the crop. I am not an elite puller. You know, my path is a little bit different in the sport. You know, it's a little different. It doesn't have anything to do with East First West or King of the Table, none of that kind of stuff. You know, my path is a little bit different. But that's not going to stop me from competing. Now, yeah, once upon a time, that might have been it, but it was like, you know what? I mean, you cross somebody, in your life in the sport, and they kind of talk to you and stuff, and then to a certain degree, they kind of breathe life into you. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, cool, this is cool now. But with people retiring, there's backstage politics. We all know that. There's bullying, on the keyboard. Like, what are we doing? And I think sometimes, because social media is a big thing, it can be like this.
Yep.
It can be good, it can be bad, with the plus and minuses. And more oftentimes than not, with this social media, we're in an area in the sport, and I could be wrong. And everybody in the chat, feel free to say something. I know the Drew said maybe it's the volume that needs to be turned down to make sure it's just getting a weird back thing.
Is
But
it me?
he said it might be you. I kept my settings clear.
I'm gonna mute my mic and we'll see.
Oh, okay. The point I was trying to make though is that we're in a situation now in this sport where it's just add water and go. Like the quick, route to success is social media. And I know for a fact because there was a thing not too long ago where Neil Pickup had, the Savage Search. And everybody put their, hey, I'll be guilty. I was one of those guys. Savage Search, got my opportunity to go to Arm Wars and stuff and compete there and stuff. Now, granted, I was already 13 years in the sport when that came around, but still, nonetheless, my body went through the ringer and stuff. And I think people see that and go, well, I'm going to do that too. I'm going to go ahead and do this and do that. And it's not for everybody, but, what's your thoughts on that with the social media stuff?
I mean, look, social media is like you said, it's good and bad. Something can be good and bad at the same time. It just can, it puts eyes on the sport. And I understand as, I'm a small promoter. I consider myself a small promoter. But when you get on that higher level, you got to figure out a way to generate revenue, generate eyeballs, generate views. So, it's only good business to, invite people who have a big following. I respect that. I understand that. But it's tricky because sometimes, and not all the time, I'm not saying this about everybody,
right,
but sometimes it might get frowned upon when someone might jump line, right? I don't know, man. The social media thing's weird because it's new to our sport, right? Because back then, I remember
it was word of mouth back then.
I remember being a little kid going to the mailbox saying, "Daddy, you got 3 flyers in the mail," right? That's how you figured out about a tournament or the Northeast board. Which, granted, the Northeast board, were you around those days?
Oh yeah.
Yep. The Northeast board was kind of pre-social media, if you want to go back and look. There was a little bit of stuff like that on there, but man, I don't know. It's hard. It really is. The bickering back and forth with each other and the politics, I think that's playing a big role. This is a small sport. There's no reason we should be against each other, And, in some cases, like you said, Brad, I know he's pursuing a career, I think he's going to be a doctor. Dude, that's incredible. Push arm wrestling to the side, go do you. I respect that. But, I'll speak from experience. I'm holding a big tournament in December, right?
Mm-hmm.
And these round robins, we're supposed to have a supers round robin in September, right?
Right.
There's only 6 spots filled. You know why? Because when I invite somebody, well, I'm afraid if I don't do well, my match might be pulled from East West. Oh, okay.
That's not okay. Here's the thing. That's not a puller issue. That's a promoter issue.
Yep.
If you're gonna yank me because I didn't win a certain match, here's the thing, man. With this sport, did people forget why they got into the sport? Did they forget that this is a hobby to begin with? Like, only I can probably count on one hand, and probably not all my fingers on this one hand, of guys who can make money at this sport. Okay, let's get that straight.
Yep.
The whole world ain't y'all ain't making that kind of. I mean, making money to live off of. I'm not saying make a few thousand here and there. I'm talking about a straight monthly income. End of. Ain't nobody doing that. And I think some of these new cats hop into the sport. Yeah, you're big, you're young, you're energetic, you're strong and stuff. When you figure it out, you're whooping everyone's ass, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, how come I can't get my spot? I'm like, bro, take it easy. This is a hobby, right? Yes, sponsors. I don't have a sponsor. I gotta sit there and save my coins, and I'm sitting down with the missus, and we kind of go over some stuff, and she'll sit there and tell me, and I've said this over and over again. Hey, she goes, honey, you can't go to every tournament because there's so many of them. And that's a whole nother topic. There's so many tournaments that I got to sit there and kind of go, okay, which one means the most? And I got to kind of, play the elimination game, that kind of stuff. Or, it's just like, it's crazy. It's just really crazy. We are where we are. Promoters are fighting each other. What the fuck for? We're supposed to be fighting for one cause, and that is to get our sport on the mainstream. I'm sitting there watching the Olympics, and yeah, it crossed my mind. I'm like, man, if we can just, it kind of gave me like, man, Worlds is around the corner. WAF, IFA, they're around the corner, right? And yet those two are button heads. But that's more of a WAF situation, all that kind of bullshit, and banning people. And that's another topic. But
I think that kind of plays a role in what we're talking about. I think that's just another penny in the box, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the separation, man. I feel like if we had one umbrella, and it'll never happen. I get it. I understand. But if we had one umbrella, even here in the States, right, to say, look, no disrespect to, the small town promoter, but even as a promoter, you should probably earn your dues too, right? You should probably you shouldn't be able to just pop up and hold a tournament. That kind of sounds controlling, but, again, if we're going to have our sport,
when you're getting like 40 entries, I've seen some stuff on Corey Miller's area system on Facebook, and I've seen some tournaments where the entries are not that great.
Nope. And again, I've been there, man. Right. My dad was the promoter. He used to have hellacious tournaments, 200 plus entries. And then, as he kind of got out of the sport, it kind of took a dip, and I stepped in. And I've had tournaments that I've had 50 entries, but it took me putting in the work and grinding and making a reputation and making friends and earning people's trust for them to come in and say, okay, that's an event I want to go to. That's a promoter I trust. Whatever he says is going to happen. Right. So then when you got these little old promoters who just pop up and, let's just say
it's not easy as people think, because you got to find a venue, maybe a sponsor. Then you got to find, are you doing cash prizes? If you're doing cash, how much cash? If you're not, then that money goes to awards. Right. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into it that people, I don't think, understand.
Nope.
I mean, they go to a tournament thinking, oh, I can do this. I'm like, can you though? And then can you sustain that?
Well, not only that, it's very hard to be a promoter, but there is an easy way. But the easy way is not the right way, because the easy way is a money grab, right? Well, for example, let me just I could announce a tournament, right? $50 entry, no cash payouts, go buy some cheap $100 medals, right? Get my buddies to ref the event, and then go home with $4 or $5 grand, right?
Right.
And there are people doing that. Let's just be honest. There are people doing that right now.
There are people out there who do it, and they try to do this. I ain't gonna mention their names.
No.
Some of you guys know who we're talking about. Maybe not. That's not for me to discuss. But there are people out there who do that. It's like going, really, dude? Yeah.
So to me, if we had some sort of a board or an umbrella to say, look, all right, you, and you 12 promoters, y'all are the core promoters of North American Arm Wrestling. Y'all are the respected pullers, whatever that is. I don't know. That, again, that's another topic. We could do that another day. But why people are retiring, man, it's
It could be a headache.
It's an unanswered question, man. That again, and someone said, yeah, but people always quit, and they did. Social media is, allowed someone to go on there and make it public. Hey, I'm retiring, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because even as a kid, I remember pullers coming to my dad's practice. I think I'm gonna step away. And they didn't have social media to prop that up. So I'm sure it's always happened. But man, it's weird to see people like Brad Grundy, and his circumstances are different. But Brad, Paul, Michael, like the other guy you mentioned,
Chris Drummond.
They're high-end athletes,
Yeah.
And to me, again, this is going to sound so much of a hater, man, because I support East West to no ends. I buy every one of their pay-per-views. Right. But like I just said, things can be good and bad at the same time. And I don't mean no disrespect, but when they're on a pedestal, right? Mm-hmm. When these new guys come in the sport, they're chasing that, right? They just forget about everything else.
Right.
And that's not East West's fault. I'm not blaming them. But throw a bone to the promoters here. We've put in a lot of work and time, and then now these guys are looking at that as, oh, I'm chasing that, and if it ain't that, it's nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if it's going to be that way, where do you see North American arm wrestling coming in a decade? Where do you see it going?
Well, here's the thing, and I'm gonna just say it, and this is where I'm gonna get heat. But I don't give a fuck. This is my show, and I'm going to say what the fuck I want. But here's the thing, right? There's a reason why we'll say North America, except for the very few, why we get our asses kicked.
Yep.
Those people over there across the pond, they train different than we do. Now, granted, for them, that's probably all they got. You and me got 9-to-5 jobs. We got families, and that's priority number 1 and 2.
Yep.
Okay. Arm wrestling is just a something we do for fun.
Yep.
Now, like I said, a few of those will take it to the next step. This is my dream. Cool. That's your dream. I got you, man. I support you. Do what you do. I'll be rooting for you, But the thing is, though, when you're in it, are you in it for real? You're just in it to say, well, it's just to kill a few hours of the day, away from home. It's for me to kind of sit there and lollygag this, that, because there's a lot of practices that don't actually have practice.
Yeah,
it's a gathering, it's a get together on their phones, whatever. Not saying like mine, but there are people who just kind of lollygag, and it's like going, you can't be serious. If you're serious about it, then fucking get serious. If not, go to the other table or whatever, But they take it differently. They ain't fighting amongst each other, and if they are fighting, we don't hear about it as much because they keep that shit indoors.
Yeah.
You keep it in-house. We like to sit there and blast. We use our social media platform at every cost to blast one another, which is fucked up. And that's why America's all jacked up as it is anyway, because we rather see people fail and make fun of them for failing instead of applauding them. That is, to me, one of the things that pisses me off. You got somebody who's losing weight, they're on a weight loss journey, applaud them. That don't mean you got to fucking tear them down. If you got somebody who's doing good and making gains in the sport, and they're putting their workouts and whatnot, or their PRs on social media, applaud them. But instead, certain people want to tear them down. That's bullshit. Yeah. And I'm like going, this is why we can't get, out of our own way because of stuff like that. And they think it's fucking funny because that's the world we live in. It's unfortunate, but it's true.
It's a troll world now, man. It's all to get a click or a reaction out of somebody, and ha ha ha. Right, I'm the cool guy because I got so and so to laugh or like my post. That's just, you see it in everything, down to, it's just down to the, Caitlin Clark, women's basketball. You seen them trolling her, right? To no ends, and now guess what? She's balling, and you don't see nothing, right?
Why? Here's the thing, and I know this ain't a Caitlin Clark topic, but why are you killing the cash cow? She's
I don't know,
almost single-handedly bringing WA in. I mean, everybody. If it wasn't for her, How many people will be watching a Final Four championship game last year? How many people were excited about the WNBA draft? How many people were excited about WNBA games with her featuring it? And you gonna kill her for what? I don't get it.
The troll mentality, man, has really turned me off, from anything social media here lately. It's rough, man.
I think trolls kind of fuck this sport up too.
Yep.
There's a handful of I know, and I do not like them for what they've done to the sport. It's like going, all right, man, what are you here for?
Exactly.
Are you here for the car crash?
I never remember this stuff. Like, I've said it a million times. I was 5, 6, 7 years old, right down there next to the tables, hanging out with all the top level arm wrestlers. I don't remember this shit ever happening.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember them trolling or, doing what goes on now. It's a different mentality, man. And, those people are still around and they'll always be around. But it's the new age that, like you said, what are you here for, man?
Well, look at the Drew. He said, it's the internet. I don't have anything except, YouTube and Discord. Stay away from the drama. Yeah, I mean, and you're right to a different degree. I mean, I usually keep my ear to the ground because a lot of the stuff we see, it's events, topics, that kind of stuff, trying to keep up to date. But yeah, I totally get what you're saying with that. And that just, like, why? Like, why? I don't understand what's the point. If someone's doing good, instead of being jealous of them or saying, man, that should have been me, applaud them.
Yeah.
There's Denise Waddles. Welcome to the show, Denise. I don't understand why it comes down to that. Maybe it's a me thing. I don't know. But it's like going, I thought the whole purpose of this whole thing was, hey, let's all put our eggs in this basket and make this sport good. But for some reason, some people want to kind of go off and go rogue and do their own thing.
Yep.
And by the same token, they'll badmouth that person or that organization while they're trying to do their own thing. That's how the shit starts. And it's like, it's a snowball effect ever since then.
Pullers and promoters, they both do it. And man, I'll be the first to tell you, I try to preach unity. I will lift up every promoter. I don't care if you have a tournament on the same day as mine. I'll share it because I want to see the sport grow. I have this crazy dream in my head that all the best promoters could get together and do an event together. Could you imagine that? Like, imagine the 10 best promoters putting their resources together to put one badass event on every year or two or multiple. Mm-hmm. But instead, and again, not everybody, but instead some people, they don't want to give that control up. They want to be the big man on, in control. And it's not about that, man. It's not about us. It's not about the pull. It is about the pullers, but it's about the sport, man. If you love the sport, you want to see it grow because guess what? 70 years from now, we all going to be gone, but there's going to be a new age.
Yeah.
So what do we pass to them? Right.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
And that's the thing. I mean, and like I said, it goes back to what I was saying. Did a lot of us, and when I say a lot of us, I'm talking about the new breed.
Yeah.
Did they forget why they got into the sport in the first place? Did you forget? Because come on, man. I mean, us veterans who've been around the block a few times.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Because this has been a topic, when I sat down with people and we're just having a casual conversation and, Game of Arms get brought up.
Yeah.
I've heard so much mixed opinions on that. Do you think that was good for the sport or bad or both? Like we said, it could be good and bad. Because I've heard both opinions to where, well, it's bad in this aspect because it propped the sport up to look like this. And, now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, I can kind of see that, But at the same time, it also put eyeballs on the sport because I had my friends down the road saying, man, so-and-so from Louisiana, man, I'm watching this. I'm into Game of Arms. I'm like, man, that's great. But
I think it was both.
Yeah.
Pros and cons, right?
Yeah.
The good thing I thought about the show, and this is before, COVID took over.
Yeah.
It had an influx on this new breed of arm wrestlers. Like, oh, this is cool. Some of your buddies you saw. Oh, I know this. I know that. The bad thing about it is that not everybody gets in the fights. I think that kind of put a bad black eye. If we're talking about the Tom Nelson, Mike Silieris, squabble they had in episode 1, I mean, that was like, okay, come on, not everything happens. But then you see John Dabo fucking pushing referees and shit. It's like going, that is not what we're about. You know
it's
what I mean?
almost like not to blame Game of Arms, but it's almost like he watched and seen how the sport looked in that show and was like, oh, well, I can do that. I can act like that, right? And I see that online, the trolling. I feel like that's kind of, because I remember the sport before Game of Arms. To me, it wasn't this to me. And I love Game of Arms. I rewatch it all the time, man, just because, they're my buddies. I love it. But I also understand what it is, when you get a new person that's watching that for the first time and that's their first introduction to the sport, it puts it's like Play-Doh, man. It molds in their mind about what they think of it.
Well, okay, I'll go a step further, and we'll use the C word, characters, right? Yeah. Not everybody needs to have a character.
No.
Okay, that's another thing. Characters. I don't want to say run the sport, but characters. Everyone attaches themselves to. Not everybody's a character. If Travis Bajan is who Travis is,
exactly.
Don Underwood is who he is. Dave Chafee is a reserved guy. Don't try to make him a character.
Nah.
And I think some of these new people on social media think, well, you got to be a character. Why?
Nah.
Well, because you want to get the sport out there. I guarantee you John Brzezinski is not one of those characters. And I swear to God, you see his name on the marquee, you're going to watch anyway. He's not a character.
No.
You see Dave Chafee's name, you're going to watch because he's Dave Chafee. You like to see him pull. He's not a character. So these new guys, and I'm talking about maybe 4 years and under, who sit there and swear up and down that, well, you have to act like that to be on there. You don't have to act like nothing. Let your style of pulling be the reason why you're getting on and getting noticed. Not because you want to act like a jackass, but you can't pull with a damn,
You said the key word, act, because there's a difference in a character, which is a fictional character, or being yourself. Travis Bajan is himself. Travis has been to my house. He's sat in my living room. Mm-hmm. He is him even when he's off camera. That's him, right? Monster Michael Todd is him. Hunter Knobs is him. Right. They don't have to fake it. It's just that's their personality. They don't have to, hold on. I'm going on camera. Let me get ready. They don't have to do that shit. They're just themselves. So now people try to replicate that and they make some fake personnel. That doesn't work. Just be yourself, man.
Look at Ryan what the Bull said. I like this. He said characters get matches and promotions that weren't ever earned, which is bullshit in my opinion.
Yep.
To a certain degree, I get it. But again, it's this influx. It's some of these promoters are pushing that, force feeding that. Hey, you got if you want to be on my show or whatever, you got to do that. Why did I get on Arm Wars? Because I'm me. It had nothing to do, I'm just me. I'll sit here, I'll be on my show, I'll say a few words and I'll speak my mind, I'll cuss, whatever. That's me though.
Yep.
I don't act any different. I know when to go crazy and go rated R, but then I also know if I read the room, I know when to be polite, be professional too.
Yep.
But I ain't got to sit there and fake it just to kind of be on that. This is me, and I don't understand why people think that they have to do that,
It's, man, maybe it's age because, I grew up in the early 2000s, late 90s. WWE was big. My kids like WWE. I watch it with them every week, right? It's entertaining. But maybe it's just that generation coming into their own new thing. They're like, oh, well, we can take what we saw. Maybe, I don't know. I don't have an answer for it. Because I will never be fake. I'll be myself no matter what. I am who I am, like you said. You are who you are. You don't have to be fake. Things will come natural,
Two things I want to bring up. One, the Drew says, if anything, exaggerate your own personality, but be you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could put some mustard on that personality as long as it's you, though. If it's somebody that you're not, and people can tell if it's not the real you, they will see that shit a mile away. Second point, Lucky says They stay trying to make females characters and push a narrative that we all are beefing, and most of that's not even close to true. To a certain degree, Lucky. But I'll say this, Lucky. You know and I know, because I always like to support the ladies in our sport too. Lucky, you know and I know there was some bullying going on and shit. And I'm like I said, I'm not here to sit there and throw shade. There's a lot of bullshit going on. And it was irritating me. And I'll be the first to say I was on that fence because I had friends on this side, I had friends on that side. And to hear both of it going on, and this doesn't have anything to do with Lucky, but yeah, you know, Laray. And to hear that shit going on was like going, okay. I almost got to a point, and this is some real shit here. Almost got to a point where I was going to say, look, I'm going to have a StreamYard thing. This will not go live. This is just me, and I'm going to invite all you women in here, and I'm going to say one word, or not one word, I'm going to say one thing. Knock that shit off. Yep. Because I'm telling you why. Do you think the people you look at, do you think Gabrielle's beefing with people? Do you think Sarah Bachman or any of the girls from the suite, they're not beefing at people? Why are we doing that? Well, I don't get it.
I'll say this, I had the women round robin, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was very easy to tell who was professional and who was new. Take that how you want it.
Mm-hmm.
Every girl, if anyone's watching, they can comment whatever. In the group chat that we had, because I had all the women in there, everything was professional. I kept everything professional. But it was very easy to see who was the truly professional ones who took this seriously and had respect for people and who wasn't. That's all I'm going to say. And you're right. The Sarah Bachmans and the Gabbies, they're professionals. They're athletes, And I get it. It's kind of new for women, right? They're starting to get that new stage, but they don't need to go down the path that, some of us men are, by trying to make fake beef and fake characters. There's no need for that. Just be yourself.
Right. And there might be a few people I know that might just say, I'm done once this calendar year is over. They might just say, look, this ain't worth it for me.
Yep.
All the BS. And it shouldn't be like that because, again, how do we get our sport out there? Stop the finger pointing. Stop.
Yeah.
Put finger pointing at each other. Stop, breaking people down. If, and I'll go on record to say this. If you see someone like, and we'll use Sarah McKinney as an example. If you see her go on King of Table, okay, she doesn't win. Cool. If I'm a lady, I'm going to her going, hey, can I pick your brain for a second?
Yeah.
What's up? How'd you get there? Well, I train hard to do this. I go to the finals, qualify, hope I get the call and go from there. Right?
Yeah.
That's the person I'm trying to talk to. What about Nadia on the East Coast? Badass, pick her brain. If I'm a lady, I'm trying to call up all ladies and go, hey, can I pick your brain? Training tips. It's no different than what us guys do after a tournament. What do we do after a tournament? We after pull. What happens then? We talk shop, exchange training advice. If it works, I'll do it. If not, you throw it away, keep it moving. I just think we kind of lost that love at one point.
I think I don't mean, again, I hope this don't sound disrespectful. I feel like the men in this sport, our mindsets might be a little bit more evolved. Again, don't mean that disrespectful, but women arm wrestling hasn't been taken this seriously as it should. It should be taken very seriously, but the women are starting to get more notoriety, but it's almost like they don't know how to coexist with each other. They don't. Granted, at the women round robin, there was a lot of after pool, and all the women got together, and they did what we were doing. But there's no reason for the bullying, like you said. Like we don't have to tear each other down. I don't know, man. Like if I go arm wrestle a class, for example, me and Hunter Knobs, we've arm wrestled a couple times. He whoops my ass every time. That's still one of my good buddies, and I don't care. That might be soft. That might be a loser mentality. But
I'm going to try to figure out what he's doing. You know, it doesn't mean I got to have ill will towards him because he's more successful than me. Right.
Right.
There's no reason for that. And
I mean,
I feel
I understand.
like, yeah,
At the end of the day, it's a one-on-one sport. But yeah, you have your teams, you have your clubs and whatnot. Yeah, but when it's time to get real and it's time to get on the table, it's you and your opponent. That's it. I understand that.
Yeah.
But do you think it starts at practice? You know, because we know there are some practices out there in the world where there are mini tournaments.
Yep.
We're not doing that. We're not making each other better by having mini tournaments.
Correct.
Or, you know, you get that one guy who wants to try to go ahead and cheat in and get what they need. It's like going, you are not making yourself better. You are not making me better.
Nope.
Because when you do that, and that's all you do, and you go to a tournament and the referee goes, no, we're not doing that. We're doing this. And you're like, okay, now he's taking my hand. No, your hand is straight. You're just used to training like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, we all,
Oh, yeah.
You've been around the sport long enough to know that. Me too. It's like going, again, are you trying to help yourself or the team or the sport? Pick one, right?
Yeah. I mean, everybody has their goals, you know. If you're an individual and you're all about yourself, hey, I don't downplay that. Go, you know, that's great. But again, you don't have to downplay somebody else, you know.
Well, and then earlier today, because this is my so today is Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
This is my third show today. I got
What did I miss?
What's that?
What did I miss?
Well, earlier I was on the K&M Connection with Ryan SB and Tim Tallman.
Okay.
After that, I had Greg Sharp, Don Underwood. I got you, bonus coverage, and then later tonight I'll be on there with Scott Wynn later tonight. So
busy.
Yeah. And I can't remember what show it was, but earlier, it was on my show earlier. And we talked about the word gatekeep and why that was so disrespectful, you know, in our sport. It sounded like, and I told Don Underwood, I was like, it's when someone says, you know, I've been called that before.
Yeah.
And it's like someone took a swing at me. Well, I'm like, gatekeep, fuck you mean, you know, that kind of thing. And then one of the, I think it was my teammate actually, who actually posted a comment in the chat. And he was saying, well, look at it this way. If you're in the top 20 and you're ranked number 20, then they got to go through you to open it, you know, welcome in or whatever. But it seems like it's almost like a bad word. It's like a disrespect. And when you got guys who've been around the block, you know, and you got these new breeds coming in here, whooping ass, that kind of stuff, which is cool. Don't get me wrong, because there's a lot more to offer now than it was then.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm going to tell you this right now, everybody in the chat. You veterans know what I'm talking about. Ryan SB, Paul Stevens, Denise Waters. Y'all know what I'm talking about when I say this. When we got into the sport, and I'm talking about back in I still got a Velcro strap, by the way. That's how old I am. I still got a Velcro strap. Gary Roberts was the only social media guy out there. And like you said, the Northeast Message Board, okay? Now, there weren't that many handles out there back in those days. Now there's a handle for everything.
Yep.
Well, once again, not a bad thing.
No.
You know, so.
Going back to that time period, though, like you said, if you thought cameraman, who'd you think of?
Gary Roberts.
If you thought nationals, you know, there was 3 nationals, but there was still an end goal through those 3s. There was the Triple Crown. So it's almost like they were still intertwined together. To me, the sport had more structure then than it does now, to an extent, in my opinion. And I get, you know, we're in the age of super matches. That wasn't the case back then, but I don't know. That's just my.
No, but see, back in those days, guess what though? The money wasn't there either.
Nope.
Which meant that you might have gone to the tournament. It might have been first place, might have been $300, maybe $400. And it wasn't about the money as much, but it was about the competition too.
Yep.
But now when you get into, you know, the promotion that give out all this money and you got a piece of that pie or a bite of that apple, and all of a sudden you go to now a tournament, it's like, well, how much are you offering? Oh, we're going to offer you this much. Nah, it doesn't pay for my weekend. I'm like, well, what the fuck? I mean, years ago, that wasn't an issue. Now it is because they done got a piece of that pie, you know? And it's like going, okay, you know? Like I said before, and I don't care if it's UAL or WAL or Ginger Ale or wherever the fuck it is. All I'm saying is this, you know, This is why I like the World Series of Arm Wrestling.
Yep.
Greg Sharp is awesome. He made me like tournament arm wrestling again.
Yep.
You know? Now, here's another thing. I think because we're also in a world where super matches are king. Now, I'll be the first to admit I love super matches, but also love tournaments also.
Yeah.
But I think that's the thing now. And it's like, okay, like you said, to kick this show off, you had two guys pulling for 20 grand and you didn't know who they were.
No idea.
You know? You're not going to see that at a tournament.
Well, going back to that, not to stay too much on that, but it's also a little bit of like, it's like a little bit of credibility. Do we really think that match is going to happen? How many times have you seen a match advertised for this hellacious amount of money? And we know good and well that's not the case. So it's almost like a false persona of, hey, look at this big match, when really there's a gentleman's agreement. You know, and I'm not accusing them of that. I'm just saying that was the first thought in my head was, well, who the heck are these people? They ain't no way they're putting 20 grand on this. They're just doing this to get clicks.
Hell, do you remember, was it 2005, I think? Do you remember when Travis Bajan and Jerry Caderet pulled for 15 grand?
Yeah, and it was unheard of. It was like, holy crap.
You know? And because those were real recognized, you know, at that point in time, though, you got to remember Travis was the king.
Yeah.
He come off winning a WAF World title, beat Alexa Vovoda. He was the man. Jerry already walked away because by that point, he already won 2 world championships.
Yeah.
He retired on top, got nothing to prove. Travis barked. Jerry's like, really? Okay, I'll pull you for that much, you know, and the rest is history, you know. Yeah. But again, it was more of like who was involved. And I think what you're saying is that why are we paying attention to these I guess you could say, were they amateurs? Or whatever the case may be, right?
Right.
And it's like going, and maybe, and I'll play devil's advocate. If I'm a veteran of the sport and I see 2 amateurs pulling for 20 grand, I'm like, what the fuck? Who the fuck are you? What the hell? You know?
Yep.
Because, you know, talking to an old school guy, old head, who paved the way for those amateurs to get that match, paved the way, you know, and yet, you know, we're kind of sitting there looking silly. You know, I get that.
Well, that would be like, you know, I decide I'm going to start up a UFC event, and I've got two of my buddies from down the road. They're going to fight for 100 grand.
Mm-hmm.
If I was a UFC athlete, I'd be like, what the hell's going on over there? There's no structure, right?
Right.
That's a bad example, too, because the UFC is way more structured than we are. We have a million promoters, right? But to me, if you're an outsider looking in at this sport, I'm going to go up to my buddy and be like, hey, they're pulling for 20 grand. You got to know who they are. Please tell me who those guys are. And if I look at them, I'm like, I can't tell you, man, because I don't know. They're going to look at that and be like, oh, this sport's kind of weird to me. There's no, you know, pecking order to me. And I'm not downplay. You know, if you can make money, go make it.
Right.
By all means. But it's just.
But you have to know that now there's so many organizations out there that offer that it wasn't like that 10 years ago.
No, not at all.
There is now. So, and I'll use how about this? We'll use Jason Merlot for a second. Love the guy.
Oh yeah.
And I nicknamed him. My nickname for him, when it comes to the Knuckles Up, is the face that runs the place.
Oh yeah.
Because he could very well be a guy that can probably make his way if he wanted to and find his way on one of those East versus West cards. But he ain't got to. He's like, look, there's a promotion, high five guys, Knuckles Up, in my neck of the woods. Why would I want to do that where I can stay right here and focus on that?
Yep.
That's my point. Or we'll name another organization, Montana Armbender.
Yeah, I just talked to him yesterday.
Right. So with those guys,
if
you want to just focus on Montana Armbender, you can just do that.
Yep.
And not worry about nothing else.
Yeah.
If they wanted to, you know what I'm saying? Because those 2 organizations I just mentioned, they offer something for somebody.
Yep.
They do. It's not for everybody, but they offer something for somebody.
Yep.
That's the point I'm trying to, and that's cool. So again, my brain sideswipes all the dumb shit of why people retire. I mean, aside from injury. So, if it's politics, whatever. If it gets to a point where I can't go nowhere at all to arm wrestle, then I might say, well, fuck it. I did what I did. I'm ready to walk off to the sunset and do something else now. Yeah. But as long as there's organizations I can still compete, excuse me, I'm going to do that.
Yeah. I think that's kind of where I'm at, man. Maybe that's why I even asked the question on Facebook, and I said I had my own opinions on it. To me, everybody's chasing the tip top of the pedestal, and not everybody can get there, man. But that doesn't mean you got to quit, or that doesn't mean that you can just look at other North American promotions, because we got good promotions here in North America. We can do our own thing here. Knuckles Up is killing it. Arm Sports Entertainment, Montana Armbenders, UAL, all of them, FAL. There's opportunities here, and the pullers shouldn't treat us like not worth it option, in my opinion, because that's the way it feels to me.
It might be a greed thing, do you think? Because I've heard stories, I've actually seen it where, a certain promoter would invite this puller. Hey, we'd love to have you in my event.
Yeah.
And I've seen the conversations through text, and they're like, yeah, how much are you paying?
Yeah.
And it's like going, damn, dude, like, wow. Here's my thing. Normally, if I go somewhere, I'll save my chips for it.
Yep.
If the promoter says, hey, because this has happened to me before, I can supply you with airfare, but not a hotel. Not a problem. Or vice versa. I can supply you with a hotel, but not airfare. That's cool.
Yeah.
If they want to do that out of the kindness of their heart, that's cool too, but I'm not expecting them to.
Correct.
But, I've also been at a situation where I got to look to see what's going on and stuff. Well, would it help if we, free entry for you? Would that help? I mean, and that tells me that they really want me there, or they really want that particular player there. And I get that, more often times than not, it's, scheduling conflict, because what sucks for me now is that I work on Saturdays. So it's hard for me unless I take a vacation day to go to these events.
Yeah.
So there's that going on. So, but, it's a good thing to have a bunch of organizations, but at the same time, how you look at it depends on what's your path. Because everybody got a different path. My path don't have nothing to do with the elite. It don't, because I know what it takes to get there. Yeah. I'm not willing to sacrifice my family time for it or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Yep. No, I agree with that. Yeah. And, maybe I came off, harsh on it. I support all promotions. It's eye-opening when I see things like that. And I'm just like, holy crap, man. Like, that's odd. But I will ask you this.
Yeah.
Let's just say, I don't know, let's say Leonard and Denise created a thing where, hey, if you're a North American arm wrestler, these events are sanctioned, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you got to pay in to be a part of this league. What percentage of arm wrestlers would see that and be like, nah? Because whatever percentage that is, those are the ones that they aren't in it for the right reasons.
They used to have that in the AAA.
Yep.
I think Karen and Frank Bean was like, the membership was like $25, and you got like a quarterly event, like magazine or what? Wasn't it something like that?
Armbender, man.
Yeah. So I mean, that was a thing back then. So this ain't nothing new.
And it worked.
I hear what you're saying though, but
yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you did that now, I feel like we would lose a percentage of the pullers, because they'll be like, nah, I just want to show up when I want to show up, and it is what it is.
Right. And like I said, there were some people out there that are still connected to those organizations. Like, hey, you got this guy, we'll call him Ted. Hey, I'm strictly, AAA. Cool. I've done a lot of USA events. I mean, hell, I'm born and raised pretty much in that organization.
Yep.
My first ever event sanctioned event I went to was under the USAA. You know,
Mhm.
the first tournament I ever put on was under the USAA. So I'm kind of like, you know, I'm born into that organization. Some people like, you know, the UAL with Bill Collins. So I mean, it all depends on. Then you got the Florida League now that's coming up, you know, and they're doing tournaments all over the place. And that's just to name a few, you know, Fallen Heroes in the Midwest or whatever the case may be. So there's a lot to say about all that kind of stuff. And I just think I would love if we all got back to the good old days. And I might be outdating myself. I could very well be doing that. But I like how it was like, and I was telling Don this today with the World Series of Arm Wrestling. You know, I'm locked to now. I'm loving what they're doing. I've done good things with them. They've done good things with me. Good friendship. When the old days, you go to a tournament, and I'm sure you heard stories from your dad where you lost to somebody. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna see you at the finals. I'm gonna see you at the next qualifier, and you're ready. I'm gonna train just for that person. I think we kind of lost sight of that too, because of all the super matches.
Yep.
You know, you don't see that because now it's like, okay, because of the super matches, like you said about 20 minutes ago, I want to go to this tournament, but if I lose, then it might makes me look weak, and then I won't get my match. And it's like, okay, here we go.
Yep.
Did we all not get into this sport to compete?
We did. We did.
I should make me a T-shirt. Compete.
There you go.
Compete, repeat.
That's it.
I just think we lost. I mean, honestly, Laray, I think we lost sight of that. Like, seriously.
We did. People are afraid to take a loss too, man. I don't know what it is, man.
When I go worried about taking the loss, this ain't the sport for you.
Nope. When I go to an arm wrestling tournament, I arm wrestle multiple classes. Is it because I think I'm going to win them all? No. More than likely, I'm not going to win either one. But I'm going to get arm wrestling in, and I might beat somebody that, I shouldn't. And then, that might boost me to the next one, right? It's just there's no reason to be afraid of a loss.
I think, and Lucky said, World Series of Arm Wrestling is really helping change the game. Yes.
Yep.
And I get it. To what you were saying, though, yes, in hindsight, we all want to win. We know that ain't all the way possible, maybe for some. But you look at it like this, like it's the drive to get there,
Yep.
If I lose my match, guess what? My kids still love me. My wife didn't leave me, and I still got the house. We good.
Yep.
We good.
Yep.
You want to win, but sometimes it's not always happening. It's not the end of the world. And I think so many people put so much pressure on themselves. Oh, I gotta win. Or what? What if you don't win? Then what? You gonna quit? Are people gonna think you weak? That's another thing I hate too. You happen to lose the match, and I was, you're washed up. I'm like, I'm washed up because I lost the arm wrestling match. Huh. Okay. But those same people that'll say that, when they take their L, they fucking disappear. It's like fucking, groundhog. Oh, the groundhog, he'll be back up in the spring. Yeah, those are the same people that'll do that too. So you lose a match, doesn't make you weak, You mean to tell me that, we'll use Levon and Devin as an example. Two awesome pullers. Devin ain't got a pin on Levon. Does that make Devin weak? No. You see what I'm saying? Like it just baffles how people think,
What's Devin's record versus Levon over the last? He didn't even got a win, right? Not one win.
He's 0 forever.
So
is a lot of other people too, but
his record's 0-8. We'll call it.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make him shitty? No. People look at the record too much.
They quit looking at the record. Emphasis on that. They do. They put so much emphasis on win-loss. I'm like going, okay, you lost. Now what?
I documented. So last year I hit 12 tournaments, right? I documented every match I pulled. My record at the end of the year, I pulled 2 classes every tournament.
Yeah.
My record at the end of the year was something like 68 and, like 49 or something like that.
Right.
I looked at that like, that's pretty damn good. I'll take that,
Right.
But I feel like the mentality now is, well, I'd rather be I'd rather win my one super match. I'm good for the year, right?
Right. I mean, it all depends on what fingerprints you leave on the sport for you personally. I mean, I can sit back and go, let's see here. My record is 1-1 at the Monster Factory. Okay. I pulled at the Arm Wars. I had like so many matches that one fucking weekend in England.
Yep.
You know, I've taken third at a national. I've taken second at a world. It's like I can look back and go, man, that's pretty good. You know, if I had never arm wrestled again, I can look back and go, I did those and go, you know what? You know, yeah, there might have been a few other things I would like to do in the sport that never got a chance to, but I can look back and go, you know what? I'm good, you know, have no regrets, you know, but I think so many people think, well, if I don't do this, then I'm nothing. I don't know who told them that.
Yeah.
I don't know where they got that idea from, but it's like going, man, reevaluate why you're in the sport to compete, you know?
I think you hit the nail on the head right there. It's a lot of pressure they put on themselves. You know, go have fun, man. That's what this sport's supposed to be about. You know, I get to hang out with my buddies and see family that I don't get to see all the time, right? If I take a loss to them, who cares? You know, I'll go get better. Because at the end of the day, if I lose, that was the result that was supposed to happen, right? I either didn't put in enough work or I just ain't good enough, you know? So if you're afraid that you might lose, then I guess you're not doing something right.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've been on this show for 1 hour and 1 minute, and the one thing we haven't mentioned that could contribute to people walking away, some anyway, woo, do I even say the word?
I don't know where you're going with us.
Do I even say that? There are some people out there going, if everyone's juicing up, I'm out.
Here's the thing. Here's my opinion. Here's my opinion on that. Because you've heard that for years. I've heard that for years. Well, you know, here's an example of a natural arm wrestler beating a juiced up arm wrestler. In my opinion, if you put two Devin Larratts in the same room, the juiced up one's going to win, right? If all things are equal, unfortunately, the one on the most supplements will probably win. It's not always the case, but that, you know, when you get on that professional level, on the East-West level, which is the cream of the crop, it's hard to go over there natural. It just is. And
there's no way you can go there natural and think that you're going to be there on that level. Sorry, there's no way.
Correct.
I'm not opening Pandora's box. I ain't telling nothing that don't nobody else already know.
No.
You know, but that's just the way it is. I'm just not built for that. Sorry, this is what it is, you know.
It's taxing on your body, your health. It's expensive. You know, you want to talk about expensive. You're probably going to run more money on, you know, your gear than you would traveling to an event, right?
Right.
It's just, so that's my opinion on the juice. Do I have a problem on people taking it? No, by all means, do what you feel like you need to do. Hey, that means you're taking it more seriously than I am, because I'm not willing to do that, right? I'm not.
Well,
I don't have
Ryan
the money
Espy,
to do it.
Ryan Espy said it makes an athlete a super athlete.
Yeah, it does. And sure, I'm natural, right? And you could go pull someone out of my factory that's on juice, and I'd probably beat him. But he's not a professional arm wrestler. He's not at the highest level.
It's almost, if I use a baseball term, for example, you know, we'll use Barry Bonds, McGuire, Sosa. We can use that. And I'll say this. Whether they took it or not, they always had hand-eye coordination to hit the fucking ball.
Yeah.
Let's be real. They were hitting home runs before they started going to the Balco and all that other dumb shit. They were still hitting the ball.
Correct.
So I guess but the point I'm trying to make as far as that goes, you can juice yourself up all you want to. If you don't know how to arm wrestle, it ain't gonna fucking matter.
Exactly.
That's all I'm trying to say. And that's just the way it is. You know?
For sure. That plays a role, man. It does. And some people get turned off by it, but a majority of the people that are getting turned off by it probably wasn't ever going to make it to that level, man. They just, you know, because the people that do make it to that level know what it takes to make it to that level, you know?
Yeah. You know, here's a question for you. from a promoter's perspective, what is the best way for a puller to set up a super match or to call somebody out from Dan Plex, my man in Canada? He wants to know.
Man, I do my stuff different, man. The way I have super matches at my events, I don't have those click matches, right? Those social media matches. I don't do that. I try for my events, my state events, I try to feature our guys. On his question, it's hard because you may call somebody out and they may, I've had this experience where I want to pull somebody and they're like, well, you got to pay me $1,000 to show up and then bet me 500 and then get me a hotel. And then as a puller, what do you do? I mean, what do you do there?
It depends on who you are.
Yeah.
If you're Devin Laray, you have every right to fucking say that.
Correct. But when you're talking the 19th ranked arm wrestler in the hook rankings, I shouldn't have to pay you $1,000 just to show up and then bet you another money and then also pay for your fly and then also. But that's the problem when it comes to super matches. We have that problem on the state level, and it's crazy. We have state rankings here in Tennessee. Far too many times has the number one guy, if you want this number one rank, you got to pay me to show up. But what? That's crazy to me. It's a state ranking, buddy, not a world ranking. It's a state ranking. So then what do you do about that situation when someone's sitting on top and the number one in the state and they're refusing to pull? Well, then that's never going to change.
That's why I removed myself from the Oregon rankings because there are guys ahead of me on the right hand. My right hand is trash, but I want the challenge for that spot. And they were like, oh, man, you'll beat me anyway. Just go ahead and take it. I'm like, that wasn't the whole purpose of us fucking creating this. It's like, what are we doing here? So it's like, you know what? This is stupid. Everybody was dodging each other. Fuck it. I'm done. Take me off. What the fuck ever. Just take me off.
Yep.
It was stupid at that point because then you forget, are we here to compete or not?
Yep. No, I agree with that. But no, back to Dan's question. If you want to call somebody out, man, just I don't know. You can either find the promoter first and say, hey, man, I'd like to pull this guy. Because a lot of promoters have connections, right? I take it. One of the biggest things that I take pride in with myself is I've always go out of my way to be good to people.
Right.
No matter if I, have the same beliefs as you, no matter if we agree on everything, I will be good to you because when you go home at the end of the day and leave my tournament, I want you to sit in your car on the way home and say, dude, he was good to me and I would come back to this. So that's just where I'm at. I make connections with people. I make friends because they're all my family, and I try to put trust in people. So if you're Dan and you want to call out somebody, get a hold of a promoter and say, hey, I'd like to talk to this, I'd like to pull this guy, see what you can do because, promoters have power. They can point you in the right direction.
Not only that, but let's just say, me and somebody, were Clifton Erickson, we'll just bring him up because he was in the chat. And let's just say, him and I are like, talking behind the scenes. How about you and I have a match? I think you'd be kind of good.
Yep.
Then we go to a promoter.
Yep.
Maybe a Montana Armbender. Maybe you and go, hey, are you willing to have a super match at your event? Because you got to remember, without the promoter, y'all ain't having no matches unless you want to do it, in someone's garage or whatever, and have a sanctioned ref or whatever. And go from there. We've done that too. But you ask a promoter, who knows? Depending on where you are, if Erickson is in South Dakota or North Dakota, one of those Dakotas, I'm from Oregon, and we come to Tennessee, you might be like, well, I mean, you guys are coming from a distance to pull at this event. Maybe the promoter might go, hey, you know what? I'll just throw in $500.
Yeah.
Maybe $300-$400, whatever, something like that. Then that way, I ain't got to put no money. For example, Clifton ain't got to put no money, and we just show up and the winner take all, which is cool.
Exactly.
But then you run into that bullshit with fucking Nanya and Paul Talia, where Paul had his money, Nanya didn't. Then you got that dumb shit going on. That irritated me for Paul because it's like going, dude, all that money, and that one dime Nanya put in that 1,500, wherever the fuck they pulled for, or 65. It was something stupid.
And
but
you
they
notice
pulled for that much money, and none of that money came from Nanya, who was the person involved in that too, who should have had their money up.
And you notice, where's Paul been? That turned him off. I can see that clear as day. That man was arm wrestling matches every few months, right?
Well, he's recovering from injuries too, but yeah. I mean, that kind of, it was fun. And just the way that whole thing went. And, that the whole thing irritated me for Paul, because it was like, what a clown, because this is not arm wrestling.
Nah.
And Nanya made that thing a fucking circus. I'm like, going, for what, dude? Yep. You're not even that great, but whatever. You did what you had to do. I think
I think he took advantage of Paul. Paul's got a big following. He's got a big social media presence, and he cares about the sport, right? And, Paul is who he is. That goes back to what we were talking about earlier about characters. Paul's not a character. That's Paul.
Yeah.
People may call him a character, but he's not a character. That's Paul Italia. That's him.
Right.
And he probably seen that as, well, I can get some notoriety. I'll blow this up into a big old thing. That's the way I took it from the outside looking in.
And just, it was like it went off like a wet fart. Like, wow, this is the buildup. It was this. The fire drill, all that nonsense. And then you come to find out that Nanya was asking other people to put the money up. That's when it's like going, okay, you know what? You're the wrong person for the sport.
Yeah.
He needs to go be on Naked and Afraid or whatever the fuck. That was stupid. And I was like going, okay, once again, black eye for arm wrestling. We got over it, move forward,
And that brings me back to the whole umbrella thing. I just wish we had, not that I want to get rid of people from the sport, but let's just, if we're honest with each other, there are certain people that probably need to go, and, if there's some sort of structure, shit like that can be avoided, because that shit would never happen at a big time event. Winter Blast is a big time event. I've talked to Ryan. And Ryan, he'll tell you straight up that was a cluster, and that'll never happen again. And that was disrespectful to him too.
Well, his name is on it.
Exactly. Because when you think about the Paul Italia Nanya match, the first thing I think, that one happened at Winter Blast. That's the first thing I think of. And it's crazy, man. There needs to be a way to if they don't go away, they can go do their own thing. But there needs to be a serious structure for the people who really take the shit seriously, in my opinion.
No, I totally agree.
It don't have to be ran by one person or two people, or we can all be a collective.
Right. And I know Montana Armbender asked a question earlier about the IFA and WAW, why was it split? And that's a whole nother subject. And you know what?
We could spend another 5 hours on that.
Explain that to him, because that's a long strung out thing, and I don't want to get into that now, but yeah, that'll be.
Why are the Democrats and Republicans against each other? That's pretty much what you're asking.
Those things,
That's pretty much what you're asking, man.
Pretty much, but yeah. So the reason why I brought you on the show is because, and I don't know. Let me see how many comments you got now. I'm curious now, because
I'm not sure. I haven't had a chance to check,
because it was at 62 when I put my comment on there. So I'm just curious. Let me see.
82.
So between the time I commented and now on the show, you got 20 more comments.
And I mean, it's good to go through there and just read what people's thoughts is, That's why I posted it. I didn't really post it to argue with anybody. I just wanted to hear what thoughts were. And they got good points, man. They do. Speaking
of devil, Luca just chimed in. Ha ha ha.
There's the man.
Maltai is in the house.
What's
Ryan
up, Paul?
Bustier is in the house. What's going on, fellas?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Paul, we're just before you hopped on, we're kind of talking about right before you hopped on.
Yep.
Your match with Nanya, how stupid it was, and the way he carried on and all that. And that just, yeah. Clifton Erickson says, I heard my name was mentioned. I'm like, yeah, I use you as an example, Clifton, about how if you and I happen to have a match and we're talking about, it was a question that Dan Pletchman has, super matches. How do you go about them? If Clifton and I, for example, behind the scenes wanted to agree to a match, we take it to a promoter. Are you willing to do this? Whatever the case may be. So, yeah. But That's one of those things. Even my man Paul Cruz in the house. What's up? Hey, Paul, hope you're getting ready for the qualifier from the Atlantic City this weekend. So that'll be something. There you go. Yeah, Montana. I'll go ahead and call him, and we'll talk more about that, because that'll be a conversation where I can be like, hey, man, pop some popcorn. I'll tell you a story. So
I've been told that story a lot.
Yeah. I just wish that people look, man, a sport we love. I guess I can be in that old head category, whatever. But it's almost to a point where, you know what? If people want to retire, that's fine. I'm bummed out that they would.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. It's their choice, their decision.
Yeah.
If they feel like they can't handle it, or they feel like this is not good for them, and they want to walk away, they're free to do so. Yeah. But I wish they wouldn't, because of all the nonsense, whether it be the social media bullshit, the logistics, all the dumb shit. It's come on.
I think that's where I'm at, as a promoter. I'm a promoter and a competitor, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a promoter, when I hear things like what I just told you earlier about, man, I'm good. If I lose a match there, I might lose. That to me is a slap in the face, because that's you telling me that my promotion isn't worth it, right? And I just want arm wrestlers to know that you have options here in North America. The end all be all isn't East West. It isn't King of the Table. It isn't Arm. There are options here. Are they, maybe looked at as lower options? Sure, we can't provide what East West provides. They are the cream, right? They're King of the Table. The Arm Wars, even Knuckles Up, they're on their verge. But we have options here, and if it's money, I get that, but I don't know, man. It just sucks, because I've seen a lot of good people go away, and probably for the wrong reasons, man.
Well, let me ask you this. You made a comment that just kind of made me think of something. There's opportunity.
Yeah.
With those, quote unquote, pullers, opportunity, do you think those pullers are waiting for a phone call, or waiting for an email, or a text message, or waiting for a knock on the door? Like, hey, this should be coming to me. Some may have that kind of attitude. What's your thoughts?
I agree with that. I do. And it's both, it's not everybody, but yeah, I think it is. I think some people look at it and, well, if I can't make it to the mountaintop, then I'll just go on and do something else. And that's great. That's fine. But there was a time that didn't exist. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
We've seen it come and go. There was UAL. Then there was WAL. Then there was, the list goes on and on and on. And it's a never-ending process.
Money makes the world go round.
Yeah. I hope East-West stays forever. But if we're looking at history tends to say that they won't be, I hope I'm wrong there. I love East-West. I watch every one of them. But if you would have went when WAL was the tip top, and you would have came in there and you would have whispered to everybody in the room, they're not going to be here in 2 years, they probably would have looked at you like, man, you're crazy, dude. This is the best thing going.
I'm going to say something, and we're at the 1:18 mark. I'm sorry, 1 hour 18 mark. I'm going to say something, and I want everybody in this chat to respond what I'm about to say. I want you to respond what I'm about to say. It's probably the truest thing. So bear with me. It comes down to money.
Yep.
And I'm going to say this, and before everybody types on there, hear me out. Then you can feel free to crucify me or whatever. If you're a promoter out there, once you raise that bar for money, cash awards, don't raise it again unless you continuously do that.
Yep.
UAL, that was their downfall. They kept raising the money. When it wasn't sustainable no more and they dropped, people stopped coming.
Yep.
WAL, and it was awesome when they went to tournament format. 10 grand for first, and then it paid out to, I don't know, 7th or 8th place or whatever. And then the next year, what happened? They went to 20 grand for first place. Okay, if you can't sustain that, you're going to lose them. And then what happened? They went back to 10 grand. Still a chunk of change.
Yep.
And then what happened? we're gonna say, fuck it, we're gonna go to Super Series format, super match. And I'm telling you right now, once you raise that bar, if you can't sustain that bar, you're gonna lose them.
I'm glad you said that too, because like, with our round robins, and that's probably where a majority of the people might know me, right? Because the round robins, we've stayed steady. We fluctuated a little bit with anytime sponsors come in. I always throw it in the pot. I don't ever, every dollar I get goes in the pot, no matter what. But with the supers, do you know what the prize was? I don't know if you've seen it.
I have not yet.
It's a $10,000 purse.
Is that the one Chance is doing?
That's the one we're partnered with Chance. Yes.
So let me ask, where's Paul Cruz in the chat? Paul Cruz, is your name in the hat? Where's Robbie Burnett, Wayne Withers, Nick Stone? I mean,
it's the biggest purse we've ever did, and it's the least interaction and least interest I've ever had. When I did the 98s, I had a list of 50 people waiting to be invited, begging to be invited. 54, same way. 76, the same way. Supers?
Yeah. I mean, where are these guys at? Because Paul said, Paul Passport, I think Paul Passport dropped, I think he was at 225 at one point lately. So,
yep.
But where are those? I mean, as far as I know, it's Corey West. It's Don Underwood. He told me today on my show earlier.
Yep.
His name, where's Cody Merritt? The Cody said he had something. He has the winner of Travis and whoever coming up. So he has a different path. But where's the other guys at?
Invites have been sent. Interest has been none, man. I maybe it's the class, maybe, because when you get to that super heavyweight level, the tip top super heavyweights, they're going to East West. I get that. But
still, you're at a point where if I'm like, and I hate to use Paul Cruz as an example, but Paul, my man, I'm going to use you just to make my point. If I'm Paul Cruz, right, and I'm thinking, man, because is it a tournament or round robin?
Round robin, and we're paying out the sixth, man. Like second place, like, dude, if you come home with third place, you're bringing home, I want to say $3,000. I mean, so even if you can't beat the Corey Wests, you can still make money. Like there's still money to be made.
If we all know if Corey West is in there, which he is, and he's the favorite, that means everybody get the beat on him.
Yep.
Meaning that, if you slow him down, he has to work.
Yep.
What if Paul Cruz is that guy that finally gets that win because, Corey's not mowing over Wayne Withers or Robbie Burnett or Don Underwood. And all of a sudden, Paul Cruz is that guy. You mean to tell me that you wouldn't take that? Like, okay, to say I got to win on Corey West, I'm sorry. That's monumental. That will send shockwaves where I'm thinking, is there a fucking earthquake here? What the hell's going on? All the way to the northwest where I'm from.
Yes, sir.
But I'm just, like I said, I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not trying to put Paul on the spot. I'm just saying as an example.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, bro, I got 6 spots to fill. The event's in September, and I don't know what to do, man. I really don't. Like, again, this is the least amount of, I don't know what it is. I don't know. I really don't. And I will say this, if it has something to do with East West, well, look at the history of our round robins. Every winner's got an East West match. Every winner has got an East West match.
Or they got a knuckles up or something. They got something.
Yep.
Because you've had the 54s, the 76s. Eli was involved in that one. So was Hunter.
Yep.
198, Toulier was involved in that one.
Yep.
You got the 220s,
Shark.
Hell, that's up and coming. So I'm telling you, I like the way you're doing it.
Yep.
You're not having them back to back to back to back.
Nope.
You're spacing them out some.
Yeah. And I think going forward with the round robins, I was trying to knock out every class, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like this, I ain't gonna lie, the supers, it's frustrated me. So I think going forward, I'm just gonna do it by interest, Like if we have to have another 98 again, so be it. Because if they're lined up ready to pull, I'm gonna provide the opportunity, right?
Did you do a 242 yet?
Nope. That's my plan for March. March 2025 will be 242s.
God damn it, man. Here we go. So we'll put that on the calendar because, look, this goes back to what my wife was saying about you can't make every tournament. So if you do that, then there's the Arnold. That's in March.
Yep.
Winter Blast. That's in March.
Yep.
You know, the North American Championships in Las Vegas, that's in March.
Loaded month.
So, and
Well,
then if you want to
maybe
go
I'll
to
look about moving things around a little bit. I don't know. I don't want to take away from other events, but
no, I'm just saying, I'm just kind of letting you know if you're gonna plan on March, that's what you're up against.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of helping you out, letting you know, because
for sure
those events right there, they're gonna be like, well, where's everybody at? I'm like, well, it's already out there, so I'm just kind of letting you know.
Yep. And I don't want to divide events. You know, I want to go back to the old days where everybody showed up at that event this weekend, and the next weekend they're at this one. So yeah, I wouldn't ever want to do that. But yeah, that's my plan going forward. But
Right.
it's subject to change for sure. But that is my next class that I plan on doing. I have my big event in December where I have every class in a double elimination bracket. But as far as round robins go, I'm gonna try to attack the 242s after the supers.
Well, Paul says keep him posted. My girl Mad Marshall X is in the house. What's going on? Paul, are you pulling the 239 in the qualifier this weekend? I'm just kind of curious. So just to put that out there. But yeah, I like how you spread that stuff out, because the first one that came out was the 98. Was it not the first one?
No, that first one was actually the 54. That was the first one we ever ran.
Okay.
And it was a hit. It had like Hunter Knobs, Cody Wood, Roman Gromov, Dylan Burns, heavy hitters.
Yeah.
And then once that happened, we were like, oh, we got to keep doing this. So then we went to the 98s. And me personally, I think the 98s was the most stacked. When you got Toulier and Jason Merlot and Robbie Russell and Artem and Bob Brown and Eduardo finished 12th. He didn't win a match.
Borzinski was in that one.
Adam Warzinski, that was my favorite one, because I was just like, holy crap, these are all killers.
So Lucky wants to know, can't wait for December. How many women, Laray? I'm assuming she, because she's going there.
Yep.
So I guess the question is, how many ladies are signed up for that?
I'm not going to lie to you.
You got to be signed up.
Not going to lie to you. Not many. We need to get that going. I want as many women for you guys as possible. It goes back to the women thing. I got to put in effort to make that happen, right? You got to.
I'll say this, because would the champions change? Has some other ladies been in there that was supposed to be in there? Maybe, maybe not. Because if Michelle Dugan was healthy and was in that round robin, would have made a difference. Maybe
Elizabeth.
Yeah, most say if Alexandria, Miss Top Roll, if she was there, if God, I just said it.
Nadia.
God, I just had her name. I just forgot it. Nadia, if she was in there, would that change anything? Do you see what I'm saying?
For sure.
And maybe those ladies that did not participate then coming to your event, plus the ladies that are already there come to your event. Sarah Wilson from Canada, another one, wasn't there. So you put that Sarah Wilson, Heidi Cordner, along with Jocelyn, look at that. You see what I'm saying? Like, if those things were there, would it made a difference? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know.
Right.
We'll never know.
That's the fun of it, man. Because then, next time we circle back, it'll be a new 12 probably, and it'll be fun to keep up with, what the difference is as the years go on.
So ladies, homework. That's you, Lucky. That's you, Mad Marshall X. Y'all need to get on the horn with the ladies and go look, because they got something pretty special. They got like these super matches, but they're all over across the country.
Oh yeah,
I think they're on the same day. Maybe I can't remember, but those ladies are involved in that. Need to have their behinds down to Tennessee.
Yes,
make that an important thing. Like, look, I need to be there.
Yep. And what I'm doing with it, while I'm here, I might as well say it. The men, originally we did the 32 invites, right? Mm-hmm. With the women at this point, it's kind of open. If you want a spot, message me. I'll get you in there, because it'd be hard to, fill 32 spots per women class. It just would, the pool is not as deep as the men. Right. So if you want in, we'll get you in there. I'm trying to grow the sport for you guys, or you ladies, sorry. And so, yeah, if you want to be involved, hit me up. We can get you in there. I would love to have all of them,
any help from any women promoting it, Lucky, she's a sponsor. She bought a sponsor package. I have a sponsorship package. All the money goes back to the tournament, you know. So I don't know. I'm just trying to just end of the year bash, you know, an old school feeling tournament. That's all it is, man.
Well, good. Well, like I say, we've been on here for almost an hour and a half, and I'm glad we kind of ended on a good note because this show kicked off like, why is everybody quitting? And, you know, oh, it's politics, it's money, it's promoters, it's pullers, it's social media. And I think we hit on all that with a little sprinkle of HGH in there and all that kind of stuff. But I'm glad we're able to end this show on a good note. So,
at the end of the day, everybody has their own goals, and I respect them. And you know, if you have to step away, the old saying is, you never retire from arm wrestling.
No, I mean it's okay to walk away and come back, but you know. But before we go, I just want to put out. You said you and Chance are going to get together. Is that event in September?
Yep, September 7th, Tampa.
Okay, so all you super heavyweights out there, September 7th. Tell me, is there a flyer so I can kind of post that?
I'll send it to you.
Okay, cool. Yep. We'll send it out there, everybody. Thanks for joining on this breaking news special edition show. I know it's kind of out of the blue, but I want to kind of get it out there and go, hey, what's on your mind? Let's talk about it because that was an intriguing question.
Yeah.
And when you got 82 comments on there and some may have answered more than once, then you knew it was a topic that had to be discussed. So I'm glad you got a chance to come on there after work. Appreciate that. Everybody in the chat, thank you for joining me. Damn, I got one more show tonight too, don't I? Damn, that'll be 4 shows in one day. A busy man.
Well, dude, I appreciate you for having me on, man. You're a real one, bro. I got a lot of respect for you. Seems like I have the same mindset, you know.
We're old school, man. Bring back the Velcro strap.
When you said that, I actually have the double ring strap in my bedroom. Do you remember that strap?
Yeah.
I got one, man. And I was like, man, I got one of them old school straps too.
Man, those would be awesome. Do you got any more?
I'll look. I think I got 2 sets, honestly.
Oh, I would love to because I only got to pull one time in them.
Yeah.
But like it was because they got double ring strap, but every match never slipped till the one time it slipped, and then I was trying to figure out like what's going on with this, and then lost, you know. But Chance, man, you get together, supers, September 7th. Once that flyer gets to me, I'll repost it so y'all can find out what's going on. Lucky, Mad Marshall, y'all got some homework to do. Get the ladies involved, get them down there because hey, that's going to be happening now, December 7th, because you got your event. Yep. You got the honor qualifier in Manitoba, Canada that same day. So there's going to be lots going on. So yeah. I like that. Anyway, man, you got home. It's time for you to probably get something to get a bite to eat. I'm going to let you go do your thing. I'm taking off. I'm going to charge my battery so I can get ready for my 4th and final show tonight. I'll be on Scott Wynn's channel. So, check us out then. Until then, y'all, thanks for joining us.
All right, brother.
All right, take care, man.
All right, see you, buddy. Thanks for having me.
Yes.